Have you ever felt like there's more to the universe than what meets the eye? Like there's an invisible force shaping our lives, influencing our every move and controlling the energy around us? What if I told you that ancient civilizations, long before our modern understanding of science and physics, had discovered methods to control this very force energy that could manipulate the physical and spiritual realms? Today we're going to uncover a secret buried in the forgotten pages of history. A secret so profound, yet so elusive, that it has been hidden from the masses for centuries. This knowledge wasn't just passed down in books or teachings. It was guarded, kept under lock and key by the most powerful mystics, sages, and philosophers of the past. The ancient methods of energy control weren't just about harnessing power. They were about understanding the very fabric of existence itself. You might be asking yourself, why hasn't this knowledge been passed on? Why is it so obscure, so misunderstood, even feared? The answer is simple: power. With the ability to control energy, one could influence not just their own life, but the entire world. Here's the kind of power that has the potential to change the course of history. No wonder it was concealed, kept in the hands of a chosen few. But today we're going to peel back the layers of this mystery, step by step, and reveal what has been concealed for so long. You'll discover how ancient cultures like the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Hindus, and even the enigmatic Atlanteans harnessed this energy, using it for both spiritual awakening and material manifestation. In the next few minutes, we'll explore the fundamental ideas behind energy control, diving deep into philosophies that connect us to forces beyond our comprehension. We'll walk through rituals, philosophies, and practices that were designed to awaken this dormant power within each of us. And along the way, we'll ask the big questions. Questions that will challenge the way you view the universe, yourself, and your place within it. Are you ready to unlock these ancient secrets? To truly understand the ancient methods of energy control, we must first journey back in time, across various cultures, from the deserts of Egypt to the towering peaks of the Himalayas. The concept of energy was not just a modern scientific term, it was the foundation of spiritual and physical existence itself. But this knowledge wasn't just available to anyone. It was hidden in sacred texts veiled in symbolism, and shared only with initiates, those who were deemed worthy of its understanding. Let's start with the Egyptians, one of the most profound ancient civilizations when it comes to energy control. In their temples and pyramids, they worshipped gods that embodied forces of nature: Ra, Osiris, Isis. These deities represented not just mythical figures, but the very energy that courses through the universe. The Egyptians understood that life force, known as Ka, was not just an abstract concept. It was a real, tangible power that could be channeled, harnessed, and even transferred between individuals or objects. The Egyptian priests were masters of this ancient energy. They performed rituals that allowed them to manipulate the Ka, guiding it for healing, protection, or spiritual enlightenment. These rituals weren't just symbolic, they were practical methods for controlling energy, methods that required intense training and spiritual discipline. Now let's shift our gaze to ancient India, where the concept of energy control was intertwined with the very fabric of spirituality itself. The prana, the life force in Hinduism and Buddhism, is strikingly similar to the Egyptian Ka. Prana is the breath of life, the invisible force that sustains all living beings. The ancient yogis and mystics of India developed elaborate systems like yoga, meditation, and breathwork to manipulate this force. But what's crucial to understand is that prana wasn't just used for physical vitality. It was believed to be the bridge between the material world and the divine realm. Through techniques such as pranayama, a disciplined breathing practice, yogis learned to control the flow of prana within their bodies, directing it to specific areas for healing, enlightenment, and even levitation. They knew that by mastering their breath, they could transcend the limits of the physical body and tap into a greater cosmic energy that connected all beings. In the vast silent expanses of the Himalayas, these mystics would tap into this energy, becoming conduits for the universal flow. In the Western world, the ancient Greeks also explored energy control, though they approached it from a more philosophical angle. The concept of logos, the divine rational principle, was central to their understanding of the cosmos. For philosophers like Pythagoras and Plato, the universe was a vast interconnected web of energies and forces, each playing its part in the grand design. Pythagoras, in particular, believed that by aligning oneself with the divine order of the cosmos, one could harness the energies of the universe to live in harmony and achieve enlightenment. But to truly unlock this power, a person had to ascend through a series of intellectual, moral, and spiritual stages. It wasn't just the mystics who understood the power of energy. The Greeks were also practical. They built grand structures such as the Parthenon, with an understanding of sacred geometry, aligning their buildings with the energy of the earth itself. This was no coincidence. They were tapping into an unseen force that permeates everything. The architecture wasn't just for aesthetic beauty. It was designed to resonate with the energies of the cosmos. But perhaps the most intriguing of all these traditions is the lost civilization of Atlantis, often shrouded in myth and legend. The Atlanteans, according to ancient texts, possessed advanced knowledge of energy that surpassed anything we can imagine today. They understood not just the manipulation of physical energy, but the use of metaphysical energy, what we might now call spiritual energy. The Atlanteans are said to have used this knowledge for both personal and collective advancement, creating technologies that harmonized with the natural forces of the earth and the cosmos. But as with many great civilizations, their hubris led to their downfall, and their knowledge was lost to the depths of the ocean, waiting to be rediscovered. So why has this knowledge been hidden or forgotten? The answer lies in power. The control of energy is not simply about having the ability to heal or levitate. It's about controlling the very forces that govern life and death. Those who possessed this knowledge in ancient times knew that such power could be used to shape the destiny of civilizations. So it was concealed, passed down in cryptic texts and hidden in plain sight. Think about the famous Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which contain teachings about controlling the forces of nature. These texts, once attributed to the legendary Thoth, said to be the god of wisdom, are now seen as one of the primary sources of Hermetic philosophy. But it wasn't just the mystical traditions that kept this knowledge hidden. The ruling classes and religious institutions throughout history knew that if the masses were to awaken to this power, their grip on control would weaken. So the teachings of energy control were obscured, misinterpreted, and even vilified. This brings us to the present day, where ancient wisdom is slowly starting to resurface. The key to unlocking these forgotten methods lies not in dogma or religious ritual, but in understanding the underlying truth that connects all of these traditions. The control of energy is the control of life itself. And once you understand that, you realize that you too have the power to tap into this ancient knowledge. Now that we've explored the historical and philosophical foundations of ancient energy control, it's time to dig deeper into the core concepts behind these practices. The question we must ask is, what exactly is energy, and how did these ancient civilizations understand it? The truth is, energy isn't just something physical like electricity or heat. It's the subtle force that animates all of creation. It flows through everything: the earth, the stars, the air we breathe, and even our own bodies. To ancient mystics, this energy wasn't a scientific abstraction. It was the very lifeblood of the universe, a force that could be harnessed and manipulated with precision. Let's begin by breaking down the concept of energy from a metaphysical standpoint. In the mystical traditions of both the East and West, energy was seen as both universal and individual. On one hand, it was the cosmic force that governed the entire universe. On the other, it was something that resided within every individual, capable of being tapped into, focused, and directed. In the East, this energy is often referred to as prana in India and chi in China. Both terms describe a universal life force, but they are also deeply tied to the individual. Prana, for instance, is believed to flow through the body in channels called nadis, which are similar to the meridians of traditional Chinese medicine. The balance of prana within these channels is what determines a person's physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. The key idea here is that energy is not static. It moves, shifts, and flows, and by learning to control it, we can influence the world around us and within us. The yogis of India understood this principle intimately, which is why they developed techniques like meditation, breath work, and pranayama, controlled breathing exercises that directly manipulate the flow of prana through the body. But energy is not just about breath or physical control. It is about alignment. Ancient teachings stress that in order to manipulate energy effectively, one must be in harmony with the flow of the universe. In other words, you cannot control energy if you are out of balance with it. This concept is central to practices like Taoism, where practitioners learn to live in accordance with the Tao, the natural way of the universe. The Taoist alchemists, for example, sought to cultivate qi not just to heal the body, but to achieve spiritual immortality. Through a blend of meditation, dietary practices, and movement, such as Tai Chi, they believed they could refine and harness their qi, ultimately transcending the physical realm. In the West, energy control took on a different form, though the underlying principles were remarkably similar. In Hermeticism, the principle of mentalism states that the all is mind, meaning that everything in the universe is a creation of the mind, and thus, energy can be controlled through thought and intent. This concept of the mind as a tool for controlling energy is the foundation of many Western esoteric practices. The Kybalion, a key text of Hermetic philosophy, emphasizes the idea that thought itself is a form of energy, and by mastering our thoughts, we can influence the flow of energy in the material world. The chakra system, another concept rooted in ancient mysticism, provides another lens through which we can understand the flow of energy within the body. Originating from Hindu and Buddhist traditions, the chakras are energy centers that align with the spine and represent different aspects of human consciousness. These centers, when in balance, allow energy to flow freely, promoting health and spiritual growth. However, when these chakras are blocked, energy cannot flow properly, leading to physical and emotional ailments. Just like the ancient yogis worked to balance prana, modern practices like Reiki and energy healing focus on clearing these energy blockages to restore harmony and balance. But what about the more advanced methods of energy control? How did the ancients go beyond simply understanding the flow of energy and take it to the next level? The answer lies in the concept of rituals and sacred geometry, tools that allowed ancient civilizations to harness energy on a far greater scale. One of the most fascinating examples of this can be found in the Egyptian pyramids. These monumental structures were not just tombs, they were in fact massive energy generators. The Great Pyramid of Giza, in particular, was built using precise measurements based on sacred geometry and the alignment of the stars. The pyramid's shape, proportions, and alignment with celestial bodies were designed to resonate with the energy of the earth and the cosmos. According to some researchers, the pyramid's internal chambers were constructed in such a way that they could amplify the flow of energy, creating a powerful, focused vortex that could be used for healing or spiritual awakening. The Greeks, too, understood the power of sacred geometry. In their temples and monuments, they applied mathematical principles to design spaces that would resonate with the energy of the universe. The famous Parthenon, for example, is not just an architectural wonder. It was designed using the golden ratio, a mathematical concept found throughout nature. This sacred proportion was believed to align with the natural flow of energy in the cosmos, creating a space that was harmonious, balanced, and spiritually potent. But this control over energy didn't just stop with architecture. In alchemy, another ancient discipline that was deeply concerned with energy, practitioners believed that by working with the elements, earth, water, fire, and air, they could transform not just materials but themselves. Alchemy wasn't just about turning lead into gold. It was about transmuting the base, chaotic energy of the world into something higher and purer. The alchemist was both a scientist and a mystic, using their understanding of energy to achieve spiritual enlightenment. In the next section, we will dive deeper into the more complex and hidden aspects of energy control, exploring how this knowledge was veiled in secrecy and why it remains shrouded in mystery to this day. As we continue our journey through the ancient methods of energy control, we now enter the realm of the unknown, those deeper, more complex aspects of these practices that have remained hidden from the public eye for centuries. The ancient traditions we've explored thus far have offered us glimpses into a system of understanding energy. But what was really at stake here? What was the ultimate goal of all these rituals, philosophies, and practices? The answer is not only profound, but perhaps a little unsettling. While many ancient practices revolved around physical health, spiritual growth, and material manifestation, there was a deeper, more elusive purpose at play: the mastery of death itself. Ancient mystics understood that the manipulation of energy wasn't simply about healing the body or achieving enlightenment. It was about transcending the limitations of the material world. In the deepest esoteric traditions, energy control was seen as a gateway to immortality. One of the most fascinating aspects of this ancient knowledge is its connection to the concept of spiritual ascension or enlightenment. This idea wasn't just about improving one's state of mind or gaining control over the physical body. It was about awakening to a higher state of consciousness, one that could transcend the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. To the ancient mystics, controlling energy meant controlling the very forces of life and death, mastering the flow of the universe in such a way that they could escape the constraints of the physical world. Take the case of the Tibetan monks and their secret practices of tummo, the inner fire. Tummo, a form of meditation that involves controlling the body's energy, is believed to allow practitioners to reach an extraordinary level of spiritual awareness. Through this practice, monks can generate intense heat within their bodies, which they use to ward off cold or endure extreme conditions. But the deeper purpose of tummo isn't just physical endurance. It is the control of life force itself, which in Tibetan Buddhism is seen as the key to transcending the cycle of reincarnation. In the West, the alchemists shared a similar goal: spiritual immortality through the transformation of energy. Alchemy's most famous symbol, the philosopher's stone, was not just a mythical substance that could turn lead into gold, but a metaphor for spiritual enlightenment. Alchemists believed that by refining the energy within their own bodies and minds, they could achieve a form of immortality that transcended the physical death. They weren't just seeking to transmute metals, they were seeking to transmute their own consciousness, elevating it to a state of divine perfection. But beyond immortality lies another, even more profound mystery: the power to control the external world. The ability to influence events, shape reality, and manifest desires was the ultimate aim of many ancient practices. The idea of magic, with a K, was central to this understanding of energy control. Magic was seen as a science and an art, not just a form of mysticism, but a way to consciously direct energy towards specific goals. In Hermeticism, magic is understood as the art of causing changes in accordance with the will. This is a key distinction. It is not enough to simply know about energy. One must will it into action. The Hermetic principle of correspondence tells us that, as above, so below. meaning that the patterns of the universe are reflected in the individual. By aligning one's will with the cosmic forces, a practitioner could manifest their desires and bring about real, tangible changes in their life. This idea is echoed in the magical traditions of the West, such as those found in the Golden Dawn or in the practice of ceremonial magic. Rituals, symbols, and incantations are used to focus the practitioner's will and direct energy toward a specific end. But here's the catch. These powers are not simply given away. The ancient texts repeatedly warn that energy control comes with a heavy responsibility. The more one manipulates energy, the more one must be in balance with it. The practice of controlling energy is not a frivolous endeavor. It's a path that requires great wisdom, discipline, and moral integrity. Throughout history, there have been those who sought to manipulate these forces for selfish gain, and in every case, they have fallen victim to their own hubris. The myth of Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun, is an allegory for the dangers of misusing this ancient power. For instance, consider the story of the legendary magician Cornelius Agrippa, a 16th-century alchemist who sought to master the occult arts. Agrippa's works, De Occulta Philosophia, were filled with profound insights into the nature of energy, but they were also filled with warnings about the consequences of misusing such knowledge. Agrippa understood that those who sought to control energy without understanding its true nature would be consumed by it. His writings were filled with cautionary tales of magicians who had risen to great power only to fall into madness or ruin. Similarly, the Egyptian priests, masters of energy control, knew that their knowledge could easily be misused. The ancient texts, such as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, revealed teachings on the power of the mind to shape reality, but they also emphasize that the path to mastering these forces is one of deep self-purification and enlightenment. The Egyptians believed that only those who had transcended the ego could truly harness the power of the Ka and manipulate the flow of cosmic energy without being overwhelmed by it. In fact, this idea is central to many esoteric teachings, whether in the ancient yogic practices of India or the mystical traditions of the West. There is a shared understanding that the key to controlling energy is self-mastery. Without this discipline, energy control becomes dangerous. It can warp your perception of reality, cloud your judgment, and lead to unintended consequences. This is why many of these practices were hidden from the masses. They weren't just dangerous for those who were unprepared, they were too powerful. So why has this knowledge been kept secret for so long? Why has the true power of energy control remained hidden from the public? The answer lies in the fact that, at its core, this knowledge is not just about power, it's about transformation. To truly understand energy control is to understand the very nature of life and death, the cosmos, and the individual. It's a journey of self-discovery that has the potential to awaken the deepest truths within us. In the next section, we'll explore how this knowledge can be practically applied in our modern lives. How can we take these ancient principles and begin to harness energy for our own growth and transformation? The next step is to bring this knowledge into our modern lives. While these practices may seem distant or mystical, their application is more accessible than you might think. By integrating these ancient principles into our daily routines, we can begin to tap into the same energies that the great sages, alchemists, and mystics of history once used. The first and most essential step in practicing energy control is self-awareness. Without self-awareness, we are like ships drifting aimlessly on a vast ocean. Energy flows through us constantly, but if we are not mindful, it can dissipate, leading to physical and mental exhaustion, or worse, emotional and spiritual imbalance. This is where the ancient practice of meditation comes in. Meditation, especially those techniques rooted in the control of breath and focus, is one of the simplest and most effective ways to begin working with energy. Take a moment each day to sit quietly. Close your eyes and bring your attention to your breath. As you inhale, Imagine drawing in energy from the universe, filling your body with vitality. As you exhale, release any tension, negativity, or blocks that may be preventing the free flow of energy within you. In the traditions of pranayama, the breath is seen as the gateway to controlling energy. By practicing specific breathing techniques, such as alternate nostril breathing or deep belly breathing, you can start to control the flow of energy within your body. In doing so, you begin to build the foundation for greater mastery over your own energy. These practices, while simple, are incredibly powerful. They help clear blockages, increase vitality, and center the mind, creating an inner environment that allows energy to flow freely. But self-awareness is only the beginning. The next step in energy control is intentionality, the ability to direct energy with purpose. This is where the Hermetic principle of mentalism becomes practical. The principle states that everything in the universe is a mental creation, and by mastering our thoughts, we can influence the energy around us. To begin practicing this principle, set a clear intention for what you wish to manifest in your life. Focus your mind on that goal and visualize it as already complete. This visualization acts as a form of energy imprinting, directing the flow of energy toward your desired outcome. One simple practice is to create a daily ritual around this intention. Every morning as you wake, sit in stillness and clearly define your goal. Focus on it with all your heart and mind, using visualization and affirmation to solidify the energy of your intention. This practice not only helps direct energy toward your goals, but also helps you maintain a sense of purpose throughout the day, ensuring that you remain aligned with your highest aspirations. The third practical application is the harnessing of the environment. Ancient cultures understood that the space around us is filled with energy, and that energy can be influenced by how we arrange our surroundings. This is where the principles of sacred geometry and feng shui come into play. You can start by creating a space in your home or workplace that is conducive to energy flow. Pay attention to the natural elements in your environment, earth, air, fire, and water, and how they are represented. For example, placing plants in your environment connects you to the earth's energy, while the use of light can represent the fire element, stimulating vitality and creativity. Aligning your environment with the natural flow of energy helps you maintain a sense of balance and harmony, supporting your own personal energy work. Another powerful tool for harnessing energy is working with the moon and the planets. Just as the ancient Egyptians and Greeks understood the influence of celestial bodies, we can use their energies to our advantage. The moon, for example, is deeply tied to the ebb and flow of emotional energy. By aligning our practices with the lunar cycles, we can amplify the effects of our intentions and actions. Full moons, in particular, are potent times for manifestation, while new moons offer the opportunity for setting intentions and planting seeds for future growth. The last practical application is one of energy clearing. The ancient Egyptians, like many other cultures, understood the importance of cleansing both the body and the environment to maintain a free flow of energy. This practice is as simple as taking a moment to clear any negative or stagnant energy that may have accumulated around you. You can do this through sound, by using bells, chimes, or even your own voice in mantra. You can also use incense or essential oils, which have been shown to purify and uplift the energy in a space. Another powerful method is through the use of crystals, which have been revered in many cultures for their ability to absorb, store, and transmit energy. By placing crystals like amethyst, clear quartz, or selenite in areas where energy feels stagnant or blocked, you can encourage a more harmonious flow. But perhaps the most profound practice for energy control is the concept of self-purification, cleansing not just the body, but the mind and spirit. The ancient teachings consistently emphasize that to control energy, we must first purify ourselves. This means letting go of negative thought patterns, destructive emotions, and unhealthy habits that block the flow of energy. In modern terms, this is akin to developing emotional intelligence and mental clarity. By adopting practices like mindfulness and self-reflection, you can identify and release the inner blocks that prevent the free movement of energy in your life. In conclusion, the methods of energy control, although ancient, are still deeply relevant to our modern lives. Whether through the stillness of meditation, the precision of visualization, or the harmony of our environment, we all have the ability to work with the unseen forces that shape our world. The path to mastering energy is not an easy one. It requires self-awareness, intention, and discipline. But with consistent practice, you can begin to harness the same ancient wisdom that the mystics and sages used to shape their lives. Remember, the energy of the universe is always available to you. The question is, how will you use it? Will you allow it to flow freely, guiding you toward greater understanding and transformation? Or will you remain unaware, letting this powerful force slip through your fingers? The choice is yours. And as you embark on this journey, know that you are not alone. The ancient wisdom of the past is waiting for you to awaken it once more. As we conclude our exploration into the ancient methods of energy control, we are left with one undeniable truth. This knowledge is not merely historical, it's timeless. The teachings of the Egyptians, the yogis of India, the alchemists of the West, and the mystics of all traditions point to one simple fact. Energy is the very force that shapes our reality. Whether you're aware of it or not, energy flows through you, shaping your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. And by learning to control this energy, you gain the power to shape your own destiny. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered a hidden history, a forgotten legacy that holds the key to unlocking untapped potential within ourselves. From the breathwork of the yogis to the sacred geometry of the Egyptians, we've seen how ancient cultures used their understanding of energy to transcend limitations, transform their lives, and achieve spiritual awakening. And the best part? This wisdom is still available to us today. It's not lost or buried beneath the sands of time. It's within you, waiting to be awakened. But with this knowledge comes great responsibility. To control energy is to control life itself. As we've seen, those who have wielded this power throughout history have faced both great triumphs and terrible downfalls. It is a force that must be respected, not manipulated for selfish gain. The key to mastering energy lies not in ego or desire, but in balance, purity, and alignment with the natural flow of the universe. As you begin to incorporate these practices into your daily life, whether through meditation, visualization, breathwork, or energy clearing, remember that you are participating in a long lineage of seekers, mystics, and alchemists who have walked this path before you. Each breath you take, each thought you focus on is a step closer to unlocking your own latent potential. So I leave you with this question. What will you do with the energy you now know how to control? Will you use it to manifest your desires? To heal your body and mind? To transcend the mundane and touch the divine? The power is in your hands, and the universe is waiting to see what you create with it. I invite you to take the first step. Begin today. As you breathe, as you center yourself, as you set your intentions, remember, you are not merely a passive observer of the universe. You are an active participant, shaping your reality with every thought, every breath, every action. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the hidden world of energy control. If you feel the pull to explore this topic further, I encourage you to dive deeper into the ancient texts, practice the techniques we've discussed, and keep your mind open to the mysteries that lie ahead. And as always, feel free to leave your thoughts, questions, and experiences in the comments below. Until next time, remember, the universe is full of energy and you have the power to tap into it. The question is, what will you do with it?